Now I bought myself some electrolytic capacitors. I can't remember where they were from, Rapid or RS or anything, it doesn't matter. They're a brand called Suntan, which seem to be okay. And I found they've got rather confusing markings in terms of which way round the polarity is. Because what they've got is an arrow here. So there's a negative sign here, and there's an arrow pointing this way. So normally I'd have thought, well, the negative sign here would mean this is a negative end, but then there's an arrow pointing this way. So does that mean then that the negative is here, hence where the arrow is pointing? Now there are usually other clues with electrolytic cans. One is that there's a crimp in the positive end, but in this case there's a crimp in both ends, so that doesn't help me. Also, usually the negative end is connected to the case, but neither of these ends have got a connection to the case. There isn't, they're both going through into the centre of it. So it's not very clear which way round it's supposed to be. I think that is the negative side. But it's not the sort of thing I want to get wrong by putting it across 50 volts or whatever it's rated at, 25 by the looks of things. I'm putting it across 24 volts and finding it explodes. So there is a sort of rough way of working this out if you don't know. Now this is another capacitor of a similar value that has a more conventional thing, a big stripe with a minus sign on it here to say this is a negative end, and also has a difference in the leads. In fact, this one has a difference in the leads when I've not cut this one. And that one is shorter, which again would indicate that that is a negative. Again, so that does line up with the sort of cues I'd have thought there was. Anyway, it's easiest to use the analog meter for this, I find, so you can see it a bit better than with the digital meter. You also have to realise that a lot of these old analog meters are cheapy ones like this, which I've still got. When you've got it in resistance mode, which I have at the moment, positive voltage appears on the black lead and negative voltage appears on the red lead. Now, oddly enough, that's not true if I use my more familiar Fluke 117 here. If that's in resistance mode, you get a positive voltage on the red lead and a negative voltage on the black lead. But there you go. So you just have to know which way around it is. Obviously, you need another meter to measure the first meter to work that out, if you don't remember. Anyway, so I'm going to kick this one up the right way round by putting positive voltage on the positive end through the black lead and negative voltage on the negative end, and you can see it bounces up, or bounces down really, because 0 ohms is at this end. The capacitor charges up, and then it goes up to effectively a very high resistance as the capacitors charge. Now, if I put this the wrong way round, you see a slightly different behaviour. By the way, the voltage this meter puts out and the current that this meter can put out is quite low, so it's not going to blow the capacitor to bits by putting it the wrong way around on a multimeter. You don't do this with your bench power supply, putting 40 volts on it or anything like that. And you can see the same sort of thing happens. Obviously it's got some voltage in it which discharges into the meter. But then you can see that it doesn't go to a very high resistance at the end once it's charged up. It's still got a lower resistance here. Now, I'll just prove that and turn it around again. Again, you can see it go up and it goes down. When I say up and down, it goes down and up because it's the other way around, because it's the ohms range. And it goes to a very high resistance at the end. So that's the case with this one, and obviously because this is a more conventional one, I know which way around it is. So now I'm going to take this one, and I'm assuming, as I said, that this negative symbol here and an arrow pointing to this end means that this end is negative. So I'm going to put the red wire, which is negative volts, on that end, and we'll see, and the black wire on this end, and we'll see what happens. Whoa. So this goes to what? It's something like it's going to the 100 mark on here. I'm going to turn it round now and put it what I believe is the wrong way round. And you can see it only goes up to here. Both of these readings are actually much lower than this one was, so maybe this isn't quite as good a capacitor, and these electrolytics weren't a brilliant buy. I don't know. I didn't really check it when I ordered it because I've never seen anything as badly labelled as these ones before, but I've got quite a few of them, so I suppose I'll have to use them up at some point. But why do they have to make it so difficult for us?